Hi, hello and welcome back to F1 Challenge VB. My name is Mephisto and our epic journey through the history of Formula 1 continues today with the 8th round of the 1962 season, the United States Grand Prix. It was held on the 7th of October, it had 20 entries, 18 of them took part in the race with 5 of them having to retire. The race consisted of 100 laps completed in 2 hours, 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Jim Clark started the race from pole with Ginther in 2nd, Graham Hill 3rd, Gurney 4th, Brabham 5th and McLaren started from 6th. After a superb drive, Jim Clark won the US Grand Prix, Graham Hill came home in 2nd, 9.2 seconds after Clark, McLaren finished 3rd, he was 1 lap down, Brabham crossed the line in 4th, he was also 1 lap down, Gurney ended the race in 5th, he was 1 lap down as well, and rounding off the top 6 was Maston Gregory, who was also 1 lap down. Jim Clark was the fastest man of the race and he posted a lap time of 1 minute 15 seconds. Here we are at the fascinating Watkins Glen Circuit where a lap starts off with a very short sprint into turn 1, a high-speed right-hander that takes us up the hill through turn 2, a fast left-hander, then through turn 3, another fast right-hander, which ends with this medium-speed blind right-hander. Brake just as you start going downhill to make the corner. We then come through this fast left-hander and eventually through this medium-speed right-hander. Brake as late as you dare and keep it nice and tight. This takes us into turn 7, a medium-speed left-hander, and immediately after that comes the final corner of the track, a slow right-hander that brings us back onto the main straight, and that is a lap around the Watkins Glen Circuit. And here we are in qualifying, coming around to set our first and only qualifying lap time. There are a bunch of cars right on the middle of the track. I very thankfully managed to avoid them, and that was a 1:10.230 second lap. I tried to improve on this obviously, but I couldn't really go any faster. I'm not quite sure why, but that happened. Well, it's not like it's a big surprise anyway, so that's that, I guess. And here are the previous United States Grand Prix winners. We actually did manage to win 2 of them, and last time we did 1 last year, so that's pretty good. And we have Bruce McLaren on pole with John Surtees in 2nd, Andy Higgs starting from 3rd, so very good for him. Graham Hill is 4th, Phil Hill 5th, and Tony Maggs rounding off the top 6. Giancarlo Baghetti 7th, followed by Dan Gurney in 8th, and then we have Jim Clark in 9th, followed by Lorenzo Bandini in 10th. Then we have Richie Ginther in 11th, Willie Mays 12th, 13th is Ricardo Rodriguez, Trevor Taylor 14th, 15th is Innes Ireland, Joe Bonnier 16th, Jackie Lewis 17th, 18th is Maston Gregory, Joe Siffert 19th, and Karel Godin de Beaufort is 20th. So that is the grid lineup for the United States Grand Prix. I'm very pleased that we are starting from 3rd. Hopefully we get to do well here today. That would be absolutely fantastic, especially since that slightly disappointing finish in Italy. But we are off, and that was a bit of a delayed response on my end. I guess I kind of forgot for a split second that I was in a race there. And John Surtees loses control of his car, so he goes off the track. Bruce McLaren is leading, we are 2nd, Graham Hill is right behind us in 3rd, and I think we've already seen our first retirement there with John Surtees losing control quite horribly and well, going out of the race. And here is a replay of the start coming into turn 1, this very short sprint into turn 1 as we go up the hill through turn 1, then turn 2, and there we see John Surtees pretty much going off track, and I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I'm sure we will probably find out as we try to catch up to Bruce McLaren. And here is a replay of John Surtees. We're going up the hill. He looks like he touches the curbs on the left side there, which sends him flying off the track. Then he rejoins the track just as he comes out of turn 3, loses control of the car once again, starts sliding, gets collected by one of the Lotuses, which flies over the fence, and after this, Surtees decided to pretty much retire from the race. He stops at the side of the road, and that's it for him. And here is Innes Ireland, who loses his brakes. Bad timing to lose your brakes, especially when there's carnage in front of you. But that's that, and this is Jim Clark coming around to collect John Surtees and goes over the fence, and that's the end of his race as well. And a little bit later on we see Joe Siffert also losing control of his car. He spins around and pretty much decides to end it there. He kind of drives in the opposite direction for a bit, but then stops his car, and that's the end of his race as we now come around to start lap 2 here. We are slowly getting closer to Bruce McLaren, but not too close yet. As we come around towards the end of lap 2 here, I managed to outbrake McLaren into this right-hander, so we move up into the lead of the United States Grand Prix, which is absolutely fantastic news for Andy Higgs, obviously. And here we see a replay of Jackie Lewis, who loses control of his car and ends up on the embankment there. There's a fence, although it's invisible, there is a fence there, and well, eventually Lewis drives off the map. And we now move on to lap 12. Nothing else happened up until there. We've built a massive gap on Bruce McLaren, 16.45 seconds at the moment, as we take a look at a replay of Richie Ginster coming through this right-hander. His engine is on fire, and obviously he is out of the US Grand Prix. Dan Gurney also retired on this lap, as we see him go very, very wide. Goes behind the arm code there, and well, we've seen this in last season. People did this. Graham Hill notably did this, and well, we know from that this is going to end up in a retirement. So that's that. As we now move on to lap 13, we continue to distance ourselves from Bruce McLaren as we have a look at a replay of De Beaufort, who is about to be lapped by one of the Ferraris. Then he kind of loses control of his car, gets collected by another Ferrari, and here I speed up the footage. He goes berserk, drives onto the other side of the track, and for some reason doesn't try to go onto the track, but instead drive into that hay bales, and then he falls off the map. As we now move on to lap 14, the gap to Bruce McLaren is now 20 seconds, and we have a replay of Dan Gurney coming through turn 3 here. He goes wide off the track, loses control of his car, and that's pretty much it for his race. I don't see any damage, but he did decide to retire. As we now move on to lap 15, and we are continuing to distance ourselves from Bruce McLaren, which is absolutely fantastic. As we take a look at a replay of Giancarlo Baghetti coming into the pits here to retire from the race, unfortunately, and he phases through the barriers there and then stops the car right on the track, because that's what you do. As we now move on to lap 28, coming around to set the fastest lap of the race, so that's pretty good, a 1:10.060, and here is a replay of that. Actually, it's not that one, but I couldn't really find the exact lap, so we will pretend that this is the lap on which I set the fastest time. Anyway, and we move on to lap 32 here, and I turn in a bit too early into the final corner there. I hit the curb, which flings me upside down, and well, that's the end of the race for Andy Higgs. And here is a replay of that. Coming into the final corner, I turn a bit too early, touch the curb, which well, flips me upside down, and that's the end of the race, unfortunately. And we were doing so well, we lost the lead, and well, kind of upsetting, really, especially so close to the end of the race. There were three laps to go. Well, technically only 2, because this was lap 32, the end of lap 32. But anyway, we now move on to the end of the race, and we see Bruce McLaren coming around to win the United States Grand Prix and add some more points to the board for him. And here are the race results. McLaren wins, Max 2nd, Phil Hill 3rd, Bonnier 4th, Bandini 5th, and Willie Mays is 6th. Well, we did qualify as race finishers, but well, it's not the same as actually finishing, right? So anyway, here are the retirements. But yeah, that was a good race for a little while, and then it went horribly wrong on the last stretch of the race. Not very pleased about that, but anyway, here are the career statistics, and this was Andy's 110th Grand Prix. His best start is from first, has 8 pole positions, has set 16 fastest laps, his best finishes in first, has completed 73 races, 57 of them in the points, has won 35 Grand Prix, 4 at the Indianapolis 500, 6 in Monaco, has 7 championships under his belt, has scored a total of 388 points, has retired 37 times, has experienced 2,421 out of 2,975 laps, has 6 bronze trophies, 9 silver trophies, 35 gold trophies, and as an extension 35 podiums. And here is a quick look at the championship standings. Phil Hill is in the lead with Joe Bonnier in second, Dan Gurney and Bruce McLaren fighting for third, Lorenzo Bandini fifth, and Willie Marie sixth. The last person to score points is Joe Sifford down in 16th, and Andy Higgs is still at the bottom of the driver's standings. So not a very good prospect for Andy, but hey, at least we did pretty well this time. Anyway, let's see what's happening in the constructor standings. And here Porsche are leading the championship quite comfortably. I think they have enough points to actually win the constructors title. Looking at, yep, that's pretty much it. Even if Ferrari wins and Porsche do not score any points in the last round, they will actually win the championship. So congratulations to Porsche for winning the 1962 Constructors title. Anyway, Cooper are third, Team Lotus fourth, fifth are Ecurie Galois, sixth are UDT Leistal, Scuderia Filippinetti are the last team to score points down in 10th, and Brabham Racing are 11th unfortunately. So that was the US Grand Prix. A good start and an absolutely horrible ending there. I'm not quite sure what I was thinking there, why I turned into the corner that early, but it happened, so can't really turn back time now, so that is that, I guess. Anyway, our next race is actually the final race of the season, the South African Grand Prix, a new Grand Prix in this year's calendar, so looking forward to that. It will be held at East London, a pretty interesting little circuit, so hopefully we'll do better there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that is the end of this video. Once again, quite a disappointing result for Andy once again. Not what you needed. This was a very disappointing season overall, and I'm not very happy, but hey, what can you do? Anyway, don't forget to vote for next season's team. Link is in the description. I also have a second channel where I will be playing all sorts of different games. At the moment I'm doing a playthrough of Diablo 2 and Homefront, so if you're interested in any of those games, there will be a link in the description to my second channel as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay sharp.